As we explored in Series 1, the first wave of Indian migration to Southern Rhodesia began in the early 1900s. Many of these settlers, primarily from South India, arrived alongside the pioneer column, crossing the Limpopo River from South Africa. Their presence did not go unnoticed. One white member of the pioneer column described these early Indian settlers in deeply prejudiced terms, calling them, for the most part, scum and lower castes from India. Despite these views, their numbers were small, and they found employment as cooks, laborers, and cleaners working under the pioneer column. Today, we revisit the remarkable story of Bimji Ray, first introduced in Series 1. Bimji Ray was born in 1879 in South Gujarat, India. He would go on to become the first Gujarati Indian trader to obtain a trading license in Umtali, now known as Mutare. His journey, however, was far from easy. European traders vehemently opposed the idea of an Indian being granted a trading license. It was only through the intervention of the High Commissioner, Sir Alfred Milner, that Bimji was able to secure his place in business. But what makes this tale even more compelling is the role played by Mahatma Gandhi. The case eventually reached the British House of Commons, where it was ruled that Indians were, in fact, British subjects and should be granted the right to trade. However, opposition remained fierce. On January 3, 1899, a mob of European traders stormed Bimji's store, breaking down its doors and demanding that he return to Portugal, where he had initially traveled from. This event would become a pivotal moment in the history of early Indian settlers, particularly for the Gujarati community. The Southern Rhodesian government ultimately declared the actions of the European traders illegal, marking the beginning of formalized Indian trade in the region. Bimji Ray's entrepreneurial spirit did not wane. He expanded his operations, establishing branches in Gwelo, now Gweru, Salisbury, now Harar, and Silukwe, now Shurugwi. Though he left Rhodesia in 1912, never to return, his business continued under the management of appointed branch overseers, leaving behind a lasting legacy. For many Indian settlers, the journey across the sea was an ordeal unlike any other. Most accounts of travel from Bombay to Beira, Mozambique, paint a picture of hardship, resilience, and sacrifice. Those traveling in second class or lower were crammed into tight, poorly ventilated spaces, enduring unbearable conditions. My own grandfather's journey, like that of so many others, was described as something beyond imagination. Passengers were expected to bring their own clothing, blankets, medications, soap, and towels. Many even carried their own cooking utensils and foldable beds. The voyage could last anywhere from 3 weeks to a month, with wind conditions playing a crucial role in determining the duration. Each morning, the captain and his senior officers held briefings to assess the weather, knowing that strong winds could either expedite or prolong the trip. For those below first class, life on board was harsh. Space was limited to 2 square feet per passenger, and daily survival meant enduring lice, rats, and contaminated drinking water. Cholera outbreaks were common, lasting anywhere from 12 to 20 days. A British doctor in the early 1900s wrote in the Journal of Medicine that these outbreaks stemmed from poor ventilation and unclean water sources. Clothing was stored in small canvas bags, while larger trunks were placed in designated storage areas. All non-first-class passengers were expected to wake by 7 a.m., with children washed and dressed by 9 a.m. Medical checks were conducted every 3 days, ensuring that those on board remained in passable health. Despite these grim conditions, these voyages symbolized something far greater: the resilience of those who risked everything for a new beginning. Bimji Ray and the early Indian settlers were not just immigrants, they were pioneers. Their struggles, sacrifices, and perseverance laid the foundation for generations to come. Their journey was not simply about migration. It was about resilience, about forging an identity in a land that at first refused to accept them. Their story continues to inspire, a testament to the power of determination and the human spirit. Bimji Ismail Jasat was born in Chasa village, nestled in the Chikhali and Navsari districts of South Gujarat, India. A small but thriving community, Chasa was 27 kilometers east of Navsari and 316 kilometers from Gandhinagar, the capital of Gujarat. By 2011, its population was recorded at just over 2,500 people. But long before then, in the early 1900s, a young Bimji set out on a journey that would take him far from his birthplace, across the ocean and into the heart of southern Africa. For 10 years, he lived with relatives in Port Elizabeth, South Africa, a city defined by its stunning shorelines and fresh sea air. There, he took his first steps into the world of business, selling fruit and vegetables in the bustling markets. For a short time, he tried his hand at cooking, but the job did not bring him satisfaction, and he quickly returned to the trade he knew best. In 1903, seeking new opportunities, Bimji and a small group of friends boarded a train bound for Bulawayo, Southern Rhodesia. As Indian settlers, they were seen as second class. They knew no one. The landscape was dry and dusty, with untarred roads, only a handful of shops near the station, and a lone tin shed. Life here was basic, with no modern conveniences. Wells provided water, but most of the town, including Bimji, relied on the public taps at the Bulawayo City Hall gardens. At this time, there were no Indian women in Bulawayo, and the total Asian population numbered just 125. Until 1911, settlers like Bimji had freedom of movement, but as colonial rule tightened, new restrictions emerged. A residency permit became mandatory and an English proficiency test was introduced. By 1923, Indian immigration was entirely prohibited. Despite these hardships, Bimji persevered. In 1908, he returned to India for a visit, and upon his return, through sheer determination and faith, he built a thriving business in Bulawayo. At his peak, he owned 5 shops, employing fellow Indian settlers with wages ranging from 2 to 5 pounds per month. Under the Shops Act of the time, business owners had the freedom to set their own hours, allowing them to operate at their convenience. But success was not permanent. In 1935, financial hardships forced Bimji to sell all his shops. The once thriving entrepreneur now found himself working in another retail business. Yet, his influence on the community remained. He had helped many fellow Indians find jobs and build lives in Bulawayo. He played a crucial role in the local Muslim society and became the chairman of the British Indian Association, advocating for the rights of Indian settlers. A devoted family man, he raised 7 children, ensuring they had opportunities even when his own circumstances became challenging. Though he never played sports, in the game of life, he was a leader, a mentor, and a pillar of strength for his community. Bimji Ismail Jasat's story is one of resilience, ambition, and unwavering commitment. A true pioneer among Gujarati settlers in Southern Rhodesia, he laid the foundation for generations to come, proving that perseverance and faith could carve a path even in the most uncertain of times. In the year 1893, in the village of Gatwadi, nestled within the Kathiawar Peninsula of Gujarat, India, a child was born, Mrs. Gangaben Rana. The Kathiawar region, bordered by the Arabian Sea to the southwest and the Gulf of Kutch to the northwest, is steeped in rich cultural heritage. Before we continue her story, let us briefly immerse ourselves in the vibrant traditions of Kathiawadi culture and music. At the age of 16, as was customary in India at the time, Gangaben was married to the late Bimji Rana. In 1909, they embarked on a journey that would forever alter the course of their lives, arriving in the British colony of Southern Rhodesia. If historical records are accurate, Gangaben may have been the first Indian woman, specifically the first Gujarati woman, to settle in Bulawayo, marking a significant milestone in the history of Indian migration to the region. Upon their arrival, Bulawayo was a modest town, its landscape dominated by open veld and rudimentary roads. Their journey from Beira to Bulawayo by train was a challenging experience. In those days, trains provided no water, and passengers had to carry their own food and supplies for the entire journey. The couple's first home was a small zinc shelter, which they later replaced with a modest brick house. She stayed in the colony with her husband for about 10 years and made a trip back home to Gujarat, India, and stayed there for 4 years before returning back to Bulawayo in 1921. Gangaben quickly became a pillar of support for new Indian settlers, offering food and shelter to those in need. Each day, she prepared meals for at least 30 people, ensuring that no one went hungry. She and her husband were among the earliest Indian shopkeepers in Bulawayo. When they arrived in 1909, there were only 3 Indian families and 3 Indian-owned shops in the entire town. By 1921, many of their guests and employees had moved on from Rana Company, finding better opportunities or establishing businesses of their own. That same year, Bimji and Gangaben launched their most ambitious enterprise, the first steam laundry in Bulawayo. Initially named Indian Steam Laundry, the business was later rebranded as Rana Steam Laundry. For years, it remained the only such establishment in Bulawayo, securing significant long-term contracts, including one with the Rhodesian Railways. Despite the daily demands of the laundry business, Gangaben found time to pursue an education, with the support of community members like C.Z. Patel and K.D. Naik, and with the unwavering encouragement of her husband, she studied both English and Gujarati. In 1929, the Rana family expanded their business ventures, opening a general retail store in the railway zone on 13th Avenue, an area designated for second-class Indian subjects under colonial law. Gangaben worked tirelessly in the business for 18 years, until 1951, when they eventually closed the laundry. Looking back on those years, she reflected, "During those times, people were humble and honest. They always thought of one another." She lamented, however, that in later years, people had become more materialistic in their outlook. Tragedy struck in 1938, when her husband, Bimji Rana, passed away. Despite the loss, Gangaben remained deeply involved in her community. In 1925, she had the honor of meeting the renowned Indian poet and activist Sarojini Naidu, an experience she cherished deeply. Gangaben lived a full and impactful life, raising 2 sons, 3 daughters, and an astonishing 29 grandchildren before her passing in early 1939. Bimji Rana was not only a businessman, but also a fervent advocate for the education of Gujarati Indian women in Southern Rhodesia. He played a key role as a founding member of the Kathiawar Rajput community, served on the committee of the British Indian Association, and was actively engaged in public affairs. Before we close this chapter on the Rana family, we turn our attention to the year 1961 or 1962. The Rana family made history once again when they purchased the Great Northern Hotel, located between 13th and 14th Avenues in the railway zone. Originally opened in 1912, the hotel was strategically positioned to serve traveler arriving by train at the Bulawayo railway station. Unlike many establishments of its time, the bar downstairs welcomed patrons of all races, making it a popular gathering place, particularly for the colored railway workers. Historical records even suggest that the legendary South African singer Mabel Mafia performed there for over a week. In the mid to late 1950s, Mafia was a top-selling vocalist across Africa, second only to the great Dorothy Masuka. The story of Mrs. Gangaben Rana is one of resilience, hard work, and an enduring commitment to her family and community. As one of the most industrious Gujarati Indian women of her generation, her legacy continues to inspire, reminding us that behind every great pioneering journey is a woman of unwavering strength. Nestled in the heart of South Gujarat, near the town of Gangaben, lies Ajrai village, a quiet farming community rich in history and tradition. It was here, in December of 1899, that Dalgi Bimai Naik was born. For generations, families have tilled these lands, cultivating not only crops but also a strong sense of perseverance and ambition. Dalgi's journey, however, would take him far from this village, across the seas, to a land where his resilience would forge a legacy. In 1921, seeking new opportunities, Dalgi arrived in the small, dusty town of Gwanda, Southern Rhodesia. It was a remote settlement, known for its intense summers, brief winters, and a dry, unforgiving climate. Founded in 1900 as a hub for European gold miners, Gwanda soon became a center for cattle ranching and mineral extraction, with its land yielding gold, asbestos, and chrome. It was here that Dalgi opened his first store, laying the foundation for what would become a vast business empire. By 1930, his ambitions had outgrown the small town. He moved to Bulawayo, the commercial heart of Southern Rhodesia, where he established Dalgi and Sons, a name that would soon become synonymous with quality and enterprise. Through long hours, dedication, and an unrelenting pursuit of excellence, he expanded his business portfolio. Over time, he founded DB Trust, Lion Stores, Dason Investments, and the widely recognized Dalgi Wholesalers. Each venture reflected his unwavering commitment to superior service and fair pricing. His influence extended beyond business. Dalgi became a respected leader within the community and was appointed Commissioner of Oaths for the Bulawayo Magistrates District. A position of great trust, it reflected the integrity and respect he commanded. But perhaps the pinnacle of his recognition came in 1947, a moment of honor that would cement his place in history. In that year, the British royal family embarked on a world tour, visiting South Africa and Southern Rhodesia. Among them was a young Princess Elizabeth, who would later become Queen.
Nearing the outward limit of their long journey, the royal family reached the river Zambezi and the unforgettable majesty of the mighty Victoria Falls. Only a few miles downriver, Paramount Chief in Wiko of the Baratse tribe begins the ceremonial music to welcome the ruler from overseas. In the distance appears the royal launch, moving slowly along the river barrier between northern and southern Rhodesia. At the same moment, the state barge of the Baratse pulls away from the shore. A fitting escort with the Paramount Chief himself seated beneath a white canopy and 40 warriors at the paddles. Now the royal flotilla reaches Livingston on the further bank, and the chief leaves his barge to greet their majesties on the soil of northern Rhodesia. Receiving the homage of the Baratse leader, the king paid tribute to his people's achievements and awarded a number of decorations for outstanding service. Heading south once again, the royal travellers climbed the Matropos Hills to World's View, the lonely summit crowned by the grave of Cecil Rhodes. During the steep ascent, the Queen damaged her shoes, so Princess Elizabeth came to the rescue by lending her own. Another page is added to Rhodesian history with a royal pilgrimage to the resting place of a great pioneer and a faithful servant of the empire.
On April 24th, as part of their official engagements, King George VI and Queen Elizabeth attended a royal function in Bulawayo. Dalgi was among the select few invited to meet them, an honor that reflected his growing stature in society. Yet, an even greater milestone awaited him. In recognition of his extraordinary contributions to commerce and community service, Dalgi Bimai was awarded an MBE, Member of the Order of the British Empire, by the King of England. The MBE is not merely an award, it is a testament to outstanding service that leaves a lasting impact and serves as an inspiration to others. For Dalgi, this recognition was not just personal, it was a symbol of the perseverance of Indian settlers in Southern Rhodesia, a testament to their resilience and a celebration of their unwavering dedication to building a better future. His journey from a small village in Gujarat to the corridors of royal recognition is a story of ambition, sacrifice, and triumph. Dalgi Bimai Naik's name lives on, not only in the businesses he built, but in the indelible mark he left on history.